Всем привет! Сегодня мы будем проходить сюжетку. Тусклому, лунному, свету. Ну, я уже карту чуть поисследовал. Иначе. Так, продолжим.
Let's take a moment to rest.
Не надо. Сегодня должно слышно нормально. Вроде все настроено. Да, попробуйте пройти сюжетку. По сути, не так уж много ее осталось. Так что здесь закончим. Здесь закончим. Войдите в воды.
Growing up. I hope the food here will be to your taste.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while.
In that case, I'll go order for us first. Please wait here.
Потише можно.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in Fontaine.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of...
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone.
You sure have your own way of... Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? We did just win that case after all.
Oh, true. Very true. In that case...
Huh? Paimon didn't mean that you had to order even more food. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon now that this has all happened?
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young...
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed...
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous notion that the investigation could...
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking!
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a... To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability. It's just... It's easy to guard against and deceive a single, narrow perspective. Which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exists. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist.
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal, so let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't really seem like the right time or place.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been foiled so far, I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while.
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting in.
Well, would you consider some more, unique?
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of...
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play.
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard.
All right, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed, then wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions. I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long as...
That might work, but that's not really the problem.
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. All right, no more joking around. You did defeat her in court. clearing citizens of hers from false accusations.
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense. Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know, strike while the iron is hot and all.
Huh? Paimon, did you drink my Fanta?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really...
No, it's fine. We're just about done here.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fanta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Huh. Well, in that case, if we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Thanks for the... Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore. Nah, that would be so...
Okay. As for expenses this month...
Hey, Navia! What are you doing over there?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to try to meet the Hydro Archon.
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're always welcome to contact the Spina di Rosula. I'll give you... in any case, I wish you smooth sailing.
See ya!
Меня откатило. Или нет, тоже. Да, меня откатило. Окей. Или нет, тоже я ж помню, что ладно. Окей.
There aren't many people around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Araneas
Vache.
Да, блять. Вообще.
Looks like we're back here again. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices again? Ugh. That's kinda spooky.
Vache. Vache.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? There might be something nasty in the... Huh? Hang on. Paimon can kinda hear... Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
И больше мы его не увидели. Окей.
Vache. Are you... my dear Vache?
Я
No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vache? I'm... Wait. Who am I? My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide. How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten? Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water, and then all grew dim.
А ведь реально, с помощью этой хуйни, по сути, может и вода человек превратиться в океане. Он же не просто так растроился и превратился в эту хуйню. То есть океанит это будущее, это был в прошлом был человек, был человеком, нихуя себе. Пиздец, конечно, тут.
I also remember going to many places. I loved, no matter where I went, Vache would go with me. I knew how, but now, we can no longer go back. The pain of such part, no. Our reunion no longer has any meaning. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the wall. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. That is the only thing I still remember. Perhaps that is so, as I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness. If only I could have comforted him, told him that I did not suffer. Indeed, is that what you call it? Dissolving. If it was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless. I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go, I think. Farewell, then. I am glad that you were able to sense my presence.
Что, блядь?
Wake up! Come on, hurry! Navi is outnumbered!
Demoiselle, look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand? Quick, now's our chance! I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Chlorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
Чё за пиздец? Чё за хуйня было только что? Ну чё, несколько лет поспали или чё? Я не понял. Зашибись просто. Взяли, проснулись и все. Ладно.
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking.
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his...
Do not speak of my father.
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid
Sorry, I did not consider...
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in great...
I doubt I know much more than you. But I believe that the mastermind behind the serial your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with a
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal...
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not...
I will continue investigating, no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clorand.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you.
Чё за пиздец? Только что произошло.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clorand was being sincere with you.
I know, she's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done, but those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clorand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. As such, we're still partners.
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di...
All right.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed somehow?
Yes. All thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
The shibis.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said, that the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky. Fanta only comes in sweet flavors, so how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall, had also been a bit off.
Фонта, да? Фонта. Фанта, блядь.
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
Yes. So, if you hadn't drunk that cup for me...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards.
Huh. Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate. But whoever did this left no That's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and hurried here as quickly as...
What? Why would they go after us, too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name. Ugh,
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the... Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial...
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. He said that he heard that voice call. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too. But it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater then? Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were out cold?
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that... Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he have been... Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll help us investigate?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But...
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't followed first.
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone suspicious.
Very good. But let's not let our guard...
I shall find rooms for our respected guests.
Thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, traveler.
Не сюда. Ух ты, ёп. Чё у нас тут? Не все. Я думал, больше кому зайти. Чего за... Да, я уже забыл. Прикольно выглядит. Право вниз.
So, this is your base?
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately.
Это видно.
After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people...
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago.
Your father... He was the previous boss of Spina...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel. 3 years later, I still don't understand. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom.
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in. But however, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did... If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Demoiselle, please, if there is anything I can do, anything...
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet All it took was one murder case for him. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strain.
Wait, if Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not some people love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really false...
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Clorand.
Понятненько.
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was... Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can just...
Ms. Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't... She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how there was only ever one choice...
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just...
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have...
Afterward, Ms. Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety. Yes, that is our understanding as...
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to... All right. Anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end. Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after...
Yeah. Paimon's...
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly.
Отдохните.
Paimon slept so well.
Блять,
This place feels almost too safe.
я теперь не хочу.
Navia?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vache.
Wait, so you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone.
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But...
Does that mean we're too late, though?
no. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to... And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed files on all the cases... If the Oceanette you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? Whew. In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we? Aren't you coming along, Navia? Did you get tired?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the...
Мне наверх надо или вниз?
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Понятно. Чё там?
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters.
This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Neuvillette's files are...
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Anyone can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave it.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can...
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Ah, thanks so much.
Паси сюда. Да нет. Просто чуть в дверь.
Please come in.
Ну тебе и хорона. Здесь можно, здесь можно. Да, какой важный.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of...
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse...
И большего никто не увидел.
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk to?
Ну да, это странно. Очень даже странно, думаю.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply...
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just... No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only... It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all?
Пизда пошла.
Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiny... There are still so many things I never got to tell him. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will...
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart, and it's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows my apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's...
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active traffic.
Now that I think of it, On the day my father was convicted of murder, it was all—
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't—
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away with the rain? Yeah. And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained—
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're complete— All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's—
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great. Let's go then.
Что? Где? Окей, погнали.
Whoa, what a huge ship!
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, my father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally— A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a— Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main— Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important— You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to— At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant—
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to—
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotion. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But no matter how much they threatened, or not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers. All of whom, recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information, but then we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead.
Huh? How did that happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired. You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're...
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned... I think this third person is probably the key. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of... There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and...
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told... Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect... Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaningless? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and...
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle...
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he... had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctor and the serial disappearances case caused him. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some, but as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the... If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victim.
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has...
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared...
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful.
So he chose to die in silence.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was, if Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find, I'm sure he'd be extremely...
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it? No. He might have set up everything precisely because He never thought. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, but thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. And, Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, boss didn't share the specific. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in op. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence, but a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also...
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Huh. That's true. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove—
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping—
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means, thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus... There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to them. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically...
I see. These are all people who to think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost...
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience,
Of course. And thank you, Malus.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my... And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Okay.
Who would have imagined that people could... Here we go again, trying to crack it and nice. All proof.
Desert's a tough adversary, but at least it doesn't hide anything. What you see is what you get, and whether you take on the challenge is entirely up to you.
It is settled then. Please excuse me and enjoy your conversation.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Oh,
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened...
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you. Because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to care. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found...
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father...
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth, but he had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, so when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the two of... I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if Papa always wanted to be a good man? So why did he have to do a...
Well, things aren't always as they seem.
Yeah, Papa was a really good man.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons, regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword. He must have...
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth.
Thank you. And even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone...
Так, кто дальше?
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florent should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House? Someone got turned into water right in...
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all...
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, it was raining outside. After my partner here put the dots together for me, can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callis was feeling pretty upbeat that day. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go without thinking much of it. My first reaction was that Mr. Callis's life was in danger. So I grabbed my holster and made a mad dash toward the scene. But when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callis was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands. All we could do was look.
So you also remember 2 gunshots then?
Indeed. The guards said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. Reason being, Mr. Callus had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to this. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns. About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third person there who was turned into water?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no reason. The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a third person on the scene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callus ended up with the gun. But hold on. If that's what had happened, he didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine. And chose instead. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malus told me a thing or two. So, I'll tell you everything once the
I understand. Then, I'll leave Mr. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callus the Unfaithful epithet has been Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus. Even after so many. But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula. No matter what others might say, he'll always be the man I respect the most.
Don't worry. I will definitely. You and all our other comrades at the Spina.
Что у нас дальше? Дальше у нас дальше. Так. Куда? А.
Hey, Thierry, it's me.
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia?
Oh, so you've caught news of that already.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the guards, you know.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Callus did a fantastic job running the town. Building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing many obstructions. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these 2 friends of yours?
Yes. These 2 are my partners. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case, and my father's, may...
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case, I can help you look for...
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have another question.
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poss. Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully...
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardamex in the... So, if you, hypothetically, wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do was get rid of the mecha serial number.
Then you think too highly of my abilities. If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but if you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. The same goes for me and my Gardamex. Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps to it, and it's almost... So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private units. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though...
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, well, thank you for the vote of confidence. Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with... I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me...
Так, уже у нас... Порт стоит. Портрет.
Hello. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know? You can just say Navia's looking for—
Sure. I will let him know right away.
Ah, Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. There's no need— I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House. I'm sure you—
Yes, I've never seen anything so strange.
Oh, you were at the Opera House.
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into a whole— I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your exploit.
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of drunkard.
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as an—
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact—
Yes. I was reminded of your father's case right away.
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can sense that the others—
Oh, and what
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water. If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. Wasn't it you?
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the last Mora to bring them to justice.
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hiding. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me, so it'll take me a while. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smooth. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around some more.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever need Mora. All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it takes to clear his...
Куда, блядь? Сюда. Сюда.
We've talked to all three suspects, purely based on their
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to— Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were able to find.
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he left. If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father.
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he had
So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his back on the order. Makes sense. But without evidence, that's— Besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me. It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial—
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite— But who among the three suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex?
Сути Марсель, скорее всего. Блять, хоть поймешь. Наверное.
Uncle Marcel? My father did really trust him. and they worked together on and with funds from the confrérie, he could also afford a large number. Still really hard for me to imagine, though. After all, Uncle... Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of mora and energy to fight his own synth business? Thierry, you say? Huh. It is possible that he's figured out a... But I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think...
Yeah, had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able... If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and how that happened.
Florent? It is true that he was... But as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with...
So you're saying he's too broke to afford a mecha army?
Exactly. He can't. And... who could it be?
Блять, только он может быть. Какой может?
You know, if you think everything through, Uncle Marcel isn't...
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing when he narrowed it down to these...
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. When he the suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to dispatch Mecha to assassinate us, and possesses... Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie back to Uncle...
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes. Malus did say that charging straight in there would be extremely risky. We need far more solid proof before we can hope to go charging in on our enemy.
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been looking...
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left. We've got another trial on our hands.
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials? What's so new?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tartaglia.
Зашибись.
What? Is that someone you know?
Yeah, we know him. Maybe even a little too well.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case.
Wait, how? None of our investigations have had anything to...
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell you the news right away. If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support any of our plans.
Right, because they'll think they've already found...
Yeah, and it'll be a lot harder then to clear Mr. Callus's name.
I understand. Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Just as expected of my partner. Since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, the culprit's attention will be focused on... You're right. This is our best opportunity. All right then. I won't have any chance of making that charge stick though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be up to you to make...
We'll help you, just like you helped us in...
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malus, Silver. When...
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson and figured that you might require... It's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered with the two of us by your side.
Thank you so much. Then, let's make haste for Irenaeus. Paimon.
See you then! Now that Navia has set out for Irenaeus, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over.
Так, мне нужно отлучиться, так что давайте-ка я включусь немного. Так, я вернулся. Я, скорее всего, сейчас как раз таки буду заканчивать запись видео. Я чуть посмотрел там. И у меня осталось примерно 50 минут, чтобы сюжет полностью закончился. Так что давай-ка я сейчас, наверное, закончу на этом видео. И продолжу до сих пор записывать. Так что всем пока-пока. Увидимся в следующей серии.